Everybody ready?
Yes, ma'am. Sorry.
Okay.
Are we live on the
We're doing Google Meet, so we have one person that's joined online. We're just we're playing around with it. So yes. All right. Well, welcome everybody. Thanks for joining. So thankfully everybody is patient today. So everybody knows a little bit about us and Gaia Family Medicine. And I decided to talk about winter blues because, you know, this time of the season can be hard on people as we lose our light and have lots of things that cause inflammation in our body and stress and all those things. All those things can really contribute to our mood. So let's get started. So winter blues, trying to find tranquility in the season's stillness. So why do we get mood stuff? So one of the main reasons we get mood stuff is because of neuroinflammation in our brain. Yeah, so inflammation, you know, it happens throughout the body, but our brain is our main mood center. And when there's neuroinflammation, we can get anxiety, we can get depression, and we can get trouble with sleep. There's, you know, chronic stress. Yes. And when there's chronic stress, there's chronic inflammation, and that leads to neuroinflammation, imbalance in the body, and you know, causes neuroimmune issues, which creates the neuroinflammation. Of course, we love natural ways in dealing with that. So I love supplements and herbals and botanicals and biohacks and life hacks that, you know, try to have a natural treatment for this. Okay. So I always like to look at what the global impact is of the things that I'm talking about. So depression is the leading cause of disability worldwide, affecting 350 million people. And 40% don't respond well to the drugs, antidepressants. They don't work, they have bad side effects. I've seen it in my family personally, you know, and some people don't do well with those options. So, you know, have other options is really exciting. And then, you know, there's a really interesting overlap between anxiety and depression. They're not one thing, you know, they usually cross over. And in 2017 demographics, which is a while ago, so I'm sure it's much worse now, that, you know, 17.3 million adults in the US, 2.3 million adolescents, and the most common age group is 18 to 25, and the highest incidence is in females. And then, you know, it even affects children, the neuroinflammation. 1 in 6 children ages 2 to 8 has a mental, behavioral, or developmental disorder, which is really, you know, a statement for sure.
Is that the impact of the winter blues or from something else?
It's from, you know, neuroinflammation.
Oh.
Yeah. And, you know, like
so the causes of that could vary substantially.
Very substantially. And
okay.
so I'm going to go through a few of the things, and then we'll also talk more specifically about winter blues. Okay. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about what happens in the body for anxiety and depression. So anxiety and depression are complex, interconnected disorders. Depression is associated with abnormal neuroplasticity in key brain regions. So our prefrontal cortex, which helps us make decisions, our amygdala, which is our fight or flight, our limbic system, which has to do with emotions, and our hippocampus, which helps us also make decisions. And then there's key chemical mediators. There's cortisol, which is our stress hormone, neurotransmitters, serotonin, dopamine, and then there's neurotrophic factors, so peptides actually that are working on the brain. And endocannabinoids. So people think about THC, marijuana, but we have endocannabinoid receptors in our body. And that's why, you know, that plant does certain things for people. But there are other things like actually echinacea that handle inflammation on those receptors. So we'll talk about that a little bit later. So chronic stress causes persistent systemic inflammation. a key feature of depression and anxiety. While immune activation and inflammation responses are normal stress responses, chronic activation leads to failed immunoregulatory circuits, persistent inflammation, and activation of peripheral macrophages, which are white blood cells, and central microglia, which are our brain immune cells, resulting in elevated cortisol and dysfunctional neural networks. So I like this kind of picture here. Normal stress becomes chronic. And then you get these inflammatory cells. Then there's persistent inflammation activating those macrophages and those microglia in the brain. And, you know, the elevated cortisol and the dysfunctional neural networks make our brain not work properly, and we get anxiety and depression. So who doesn't love to talk about the gut? The gut is the main driver for the gut-brain axis. And when there's leaky gut, when there is dysbiosis, then bacteria, and it's actually a lot of it's the bacteria byproducts, like their poop basically, can go into through the intestines and get throughout the body and triggering an immune response. And, you know, those toxins, whether it's from the bacteria or actual toxins like our biotoxins from the environment, then those create inflammation in the body. And then that exacerbates neuroimmune imbalances, particularly involving regulatory and pro-inflammatory T cells. T cells are just some of our white blood cells that helps try to deal with that inflammation. And then, you know, of course, that means that when we are treating anxiety, depression, we actually need to look at the gut for that inflammation. So otherwise, it's not going to be sustainable. You know, we're just, you know, masking the symptoms, right? So this is a little bit further into that. And this is actually a new fun term that is out there, the microbiome gut-brain axis, MGBA. So dysbiosis and inflammation raises, there's something called lipopolysaccharides, which are basically inflammatory outer coatings of the bacteria. And as they bust up, the immune system is trying to deal with that with the leaky gut. Then they've actually been able to like look at lab tests that show that the higher LPS autoantibodies, that's the body attacking that lipopolysaccharide, correlates with depression. So the more inflammation from the gut, the more depression there is. And, you know, disruptors of the gut, as we all know, antibiotics, high sugar diets, stress, alcohol, you know, xenobiotics, so heavy metals and pesticides all can affect our gut. Things that can help our gut are, you know, our rainbow of fruits and vegetables. And then, you know, we're going to talk about some herbals that help with the gut. So all that inflammation activate microglia, which are our neuroimmune cells. And, you know, those things with the diet and helping the gut, they found reverse the microglia inflammation. They actually found that like intermittent fasting, like low calorie diets, actually boost neurogenesis and something called brain-derived neurotrophic factor and cognition, which we'll talk about a little bit next. Okay. So brain-derived neurotrophic factor is a vital brain protein supporting the neuron survival with anxiety. While immune activation and inflammation are normal stress responses, low of that protein, the BDNF, is linked to depression, PTSD, immunoregulatory circuits, persistent initial raises in BDNF for protection. It's supposed to do it, but chronic, then it causes a dysfunction in the neural networks. So it's like the brain's fertilizer. It like, you know, helps it do its thing when you're under stress so you can deal with stuff. And then it should just go away. But then as it gets depleted and lower, then that has been correlated to depression. And then there's some ways to boost that brain-derived neurotrophic factor naturally. Exercise, St. John's wort, which actually increases it more than SSRIs. And actually in the studies, St. John's wort works better than SSRIs. And curcumin, which helps with inflammation and lowering cortisol. So we'll talk a little bit more about some cool supplements that we have that have some combinations that help with that. So, you know, when we have all this inflammation, we get oxidative stress, which is not very nice to our mitochondria, and our mitochondria have a lot to do with our energy. And when we have a lot of oxidative stress from that inflammation, then we have low antioxidants that are endogenous in our body, like CoQ10, which we can take a supplement for, but we have it in our body. And then that increased oxidative damage to the DNA, proteins, and mitochondria lead to reduced ATP production, which is our main energy molecule. So most people who are depressed are also fatigued. And they found in a study that resveratrol, which actually comes from Japanese knotweed, at 500 milligrams per day has been shown to improve depression because it's a really great antioxidant. And this talks about that endocannabinoid system. So stress activates that HPA axis, so the hypothalamus, the pituitary, and adrenal, releasing cortisol and pro-inflammatory cytokines. Endocannabinoids promote emotional homeostasis and regulate the HPA axis. So when there's a huge amount of stress involved in sort of making the depression and anxiety bad, then things that help with the endocannabinoids, specifically CB2, which is what echinacea binds to, can actually prevent stress-induced inflammation, which is pretty cool. Echinacea we use a lot for immune boosting as well. All right, so what are the key aspects for managing depression in a natural herbal approach? So we want to support the HPA axis and increase that brain-derived neurotrophic factor. We want to address chronic systemic inflammation, so reduce those pro-inflammatory cytokines with natural compounds. We want to support the endocannabinoid system and promote emotional homeostasis, regulate that HPA axis. We want to reduce antioxidant stress with antioxidants to protect the brain cells from all that free radical damage and inflammation. Support mitochondrial health, enhance cellular energy production for brain function, and ensure adequate sleep, which is how we heal. Optimize restorative sleep for brain health. So this is a really interesting supplement that we have through standard process called Nevaton Forte. And it has a really beautiful combination of herbs. It has skullcap, which calms nervous tension. Schisandra, which is an adaptogen for stress resilience. St. John's wort, which helps with supports positive mood. And saffron, which is a herb, you know, that we can use in cooking, actually, yeah. But it promotes emotional balance. And so it's one of the main ones that we use to help with neuroemotional balance. And then inflammation, turmeric, very, very bioavailable product that we have called Turmeric Forte, and it combines turmeric and fenugreek to help support healthy inflammation. Someone wants to join the call. Do I have to let them in?
Yeah, you do. You have to admit them.
How do you admit them?
You want me to help you? You have to click on the people, like, and then it says admit. You click on, yeah, those people. Yeah, right there.
Okay, here we go. All right. Okay, so let's get back into winter blues. Okay, so the turmeric forte, because it's anti-inflammatory, it also helps support healthy joints, supports liver and digestion, and it's a really great antioxidant. So one of my favorites for anxiety is Kava Forte. So Kava is an herbal support for relaxation and calm. And the Kava Forte that we carry, it calms the nerves, supports nervous system balance, eases temporary nervous tension and stress. It promotes relaxation and sleep, for supporting restful sleep patterns, and it supports muscle relaxation. And yeah,
What was the one before this color?
turmeric forte,
That just has turmeric in it?
turmeric and fenugreek.
Oh, fenugreek.
Yeah, so it helps with indigestion too. So another line that we use is energetics. It's our homeopathy line. And we love emotional support from one of our two bestsellers is one is called Fields of Flower. And it's a homeopathic formula that combines 38 traditional flower essences, each linked to key emotional concerns. Many practitioners view addressing a patient's emotional state as vital for their healing and well-being. And then there's a similar one called Calm 5, which is a homeopathic combination of 5 flower essences traditionally used for emergencies and everyday stress and manage emotional symptoms, often manifest physically. Another great adaptogen that helps with our stress response is ashwagandha. We have an ashwagandha complex that contains adaptogenic herbs, including ashwagandha, but also licorice, skullcap, and Korean ginseng. And it works as a tonic to maintain or improve general well-being, helps the body adapt to the changes of everyday life, promote vitality and stamina in people of any age, and maintain healthy mood balance. So we like to get adaptogens on board, and we have a few. This is one. This is another one called rhodiola ginseng complex. It's a adaptogenic tonic for vitality and stamina. So I think about it a lot for people that are really struggling with their energy. And so the rhodiola ginseng complex contains rhodiola root and Korean ginseng to enhance vitality and stamina, support mental clarity and cognitive function, promote, always said again, promote vitality and stamina, help maintain proper energy, and support physical endurance. And then rhodiola with schisandra is one that we also use for nervous system support during times of stress. And it really is a great tonic as well. And, you know, as you guys all know, we do the nutrition responsive testing. So sometimes I'll just pull one and see if one works versus the other one. And really the body knows. So, but these are some of the ones that I really love. So, and how do we deal with the neuroinflammation? Well, we talked a little about the turmeric forte. That's one that can help with neuroinflammation, but also boswellia complex, which contains boswellia, celery seed, ginger, and turmeric. It also has that turmeric. So I would, again, because of the NRT, I would pull one product that would help with inflammation and kind of figure out what the body wants. And then the echinacea is another one.
Is boswellia a plant?
Mm-hmm. It's an herb, yeah. Okay, so oxidative stress. So when we're looking at oxidative stress, we really want to get to the root of that. So a lot of times it's from the gut. A lot of times it's from, like, you know, a viral infection. So here are just a few that we like to use. Vitanox is an antioxidant support blend that features rosemary, green tea, turmeric, and grapeseed that provides antioxidant activity, supports healthy circulation, vascular integrity, connective tissue, liver function, cellular health, and general well-being. We use it a lot for viral support for the immune system. There's also one called Ginkgo Synergy, which has ginkgo biloba for healthy brain function. It's really great. I especially like it for people as we mature. Really good for memory too. And there's another one that is called Herba Vital, which has Japanese knotweed, which is that resveratrol source. Milk thistle, which helps with liver support. Korean ginseng, which is the ginseng and ginkgo are both good adaptogens. So it helps with vitality, stamina, healthy circulation in mature adults. So the mitochondrial dysfunction, you know, that's how we try to support the energy for people who are feeling depressed. We have some options, that Herba Vital, the rhodiola ginseng, and then two other ones that we haven't mentioned before, Berberine Active, which has philodendron. Berberine is really nice. It helps support liver and bowel function. helps support a healthy bowel environment and antioxidant activity. So for people that I'm worried about that there's some inflammation or dysbiosis in the gut, I really like berberine active. And then hawthorn is actually something that we use for healthy cardiovascular support, but it also promotes antioxidant activity, so it can help with mitochondrial function as well. And healthy sleep. So other than the Kava Forte, we also have a couple options. Valerian complex. Valerian complex has valerian root, passion flower, jujube seed, and supports healthy sleep and relaxation. Traditionally used to relieve nervous tension, occasional sleeplessness, promote relaxation, and ease temporary stress. And then there's another one called Nervogesic, which helps if people are having some discomfort when they sleep too. It has California poppy, Jamaican dockwood, offers relaxation and nervous system support, and traditionally used for occasional discomfort and occasional sleeplessness, promoting muscle relaxation and easing temporary nervous stress. And then can't talk about depression, anxiety without talking about hormones and stress, because, you know, stress causes increase in cortisol and adrenaline. And some people, they don't detoxify their hormones very well, and they don't detoxify their adrenaline very well. And so people who have genetic variations in the COMT and MTHFR enzymes, which are vital for managing stress and processing hormones and detox, can really have like a backup, kind of like the backup on 85 or 285 or 75 or 400, which we've all been on. You know, if we have all these chemicals and hormones, especially for women who are still cycling, they all are trying to get onto the, you know, spaghetti junction, and it's a parking lot because those COMTs and those MTHFR, it's basically like spaghetti junction. And if they aren't working well, like spaghetti junction doesn't work very well, then the traffic's backed up at rush hour. But, you know, we can encourage MTHFR and COMT to be doing its proper things by supporting methylation and supporting great hormonal detox as well.
What's methylation?
So when we are detoxifying, we use methyl groups to go from phase 1 and phase 2 liver detox. And so it just is a way, it's the way that the body detoxes through the liver. So, and some people just don't have very good detox mechanisms. Me, I don't have them.
You don't have good detox mechanism?
No, which is why I like basically I'm on a detox shake all the time. So it's like my protein powder, my detox shake. So, but
Why is that? Like, you know,
it's genetic.
oh,
Yeah, just
like the
genetic
toxins
variation.
don't leave your body much?
Because I have MTHFR and COMT enzyme variations that make that not work very well. So,
Oh, do I have that too?
well, we would have to do a Dutch test to see,
What's the Dutch test?
or of MTHFR. So it's just genetic testing. So
Can't you
Oh.
manipulate the genetics or whatever to straighten them out? And
yeah, well, that's why, you know, there's a couple of things that I really like to use. So standard process as a whole food folate, so methylated folic acid and B12.
it's a different kind of processing that, whatever that supplement, correct?
Mhm.
Methylated?
Exactly. So it's already methylated, so it helps the body do that detoxification
Mhm.
process. So that's a food base. There's obviously nutraceuticals like 5-methylfolate and methylcobalamin for the B12. And then, you know, there is something called an enzyme called beta glucuronidase, which is high in gut dysbiosis, that when it's high, it hinders removal of hormones like estrogen. And so cruciferous vegetables, and we have a product called Cruciferous Complete. There's also another product we have called CDG DIM that have the products, the enzyme reduction of the beta glucuronidase to help the hormones not get recirculated and get out, or the catecholamine. So it just, there's two ways that it works. And so we try to get both arms. So I try to have people increase cruciferous vegetables anyways. And then there's supplementation, increase your green leafy vegetables. And then there's also supplementation. So we have options. And then this gut flora complex, is a unique blend of herbs, andrographis and philodendron, which is the berberine, and essential oils of oregano and anise to support healthy digestive function and a healthy digestive environment. And traditionally, these ingredients are used to clean and promote healthy gastrointestinal function, encourage a healthy intestinal environment by maintaining optimal gut flora, and relieve occasional mild gastrointestinal discomfort, including bloating and flatulence. So it's a really nice product to help with that gut dysbiosis. All right, dopamine. Dopamine is our motivation molecule. It's not good if it's too high or too low. Dopamine is vital for mood, motivation, and reward. Low levels cause fatigue and depression, which is, we're going to talk about the lower side today. But we have to be cautious because when it gets too high, then it also makes people feel kind of like that manic or psychosis too. So we like it just in the middle. So natural dopamine support, so diet, higher protein diets to make sure you have an adequate level of dopamine, regular exercise, sleep, sunlight. And then there's, it's like an adaptogenic herb called bacopa, which kind of helps dopamine kind of stay in its middle range. So it helps restore impaired dopamine levels and receptor function by shielding neurons with antioxidants. So it's an interesting herb there. And then, you know, specifically for this time of year, I mean, people are holidays. I mean, the sugar starts in Halloween. It doesn't end till the end of January, and then people feel terrible, right? So we have a ton of dysbiosis and neuroinflammation, which is why I wanted to talk about all that stuff in the beginning. Because for people who have problems all year round, I mean, the concepts are still all the same. And I feel like people eat worse around the holidays. And, you know, it's cold, people don't exercise as much. So I think there's a lot of factors that we already talked about. But then, you know, one of the other things with specifically wintertime is that we don't get enough light. So as the days get shorter, we're inside more, we definitely don't get enough UV light. So depression can worsen in the winter due to reduced sunlight, which disrupts the body's internal clock and affects hormones. There's circadian rhythm disruption. Less sunlight throws off the body's internal clock, affecting sleep-wake cycles. There's hormonal changes that with the shorter days increase melatonin, causing lethargy and decreased serotonin, which makes us feel more depressed. So a lot of times I'll recommend light therapy, the seasonal affective lights that become very affordable. People can get them for $30 on Amazon really easily. And the high intensity 10,000 lux is there to mimic natural light. It influences brain chemicals like serotonin and melatonin and regulates the circadian rhythm. And the way we usually recommend it is in the morning, ideally within the first hour for 30 minutes, positioning the light towards your face, but not looking directly into it.
Is it light or like regular light?
It's like regular UV light. So it's a white light.
UV light?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
UV light.
It's very good for us.
I thought they say UV light is supposed to stay away from.
Nope. You need it for vitamin D synthesis. You need it for energy. You need it for circadian rhythm.
So you can get something for UV light in the morning? Like
yeah, 30 minutes is not going to cause anything but benefit. So
I didn't even know that.
Yeah. So
why is it so big? Like going on the same path as you. Everything is stay away from UV rays. I mean, it's taboo. It's dangerous.
Because if people are out there 24/7, then it can cause skin damage and cause skin cancer. Like our lovely redheaded friend over here.
You're a blue skin person.
Yes. But should Lisa still just get 30 minutes of sunlight? Yes.
Boxes.
Yes, she should, you know. So it's not bad for us. It's all about moderation too, you know. I mean, so if someone's like in the tanning bed like 24/7, maybe not the best idea. But do we all need to get some sunlight? Yes, we do.
But sunscreen is, the chemicals in that is probably worse than the sun.
Yeah, I'd rather people get 30 minutes of sunlight,
right?
Just straight through their skin.
Yeah.
Yep.
So do you think that they are ever going to change the daylight savings thing so that we quit doing this back and forth thing?
I don't know. I have no idea. You can't fix the government.
Same thing.
Who's going to make those, you know?
When did that start?
started in farming, you know, because they were wanting to have the most amount of light in the early
So that
amount
they
of
could
time.
get out. They don't have to affect the rest of us.
Correct.
Yeah, just get up early.
I know. Well, the last part of this is, you know, if we had new people to talk about NRT, but you guys all know about NRT. But basically, I love it because it helps me figure out individualized, unique programs for each person because everybody's different and not one thing. Like that's why, you know, when I talk about all those, it's not cookie cutter, but I have options for each one of those areas. And depending on what's going on with the person, then I have options. So, yeah. Well, I did not say if people had questions in the chat beforehand, but if anybody has questions, please speak up.
So the NRT, you can't use NRT for the other two chemicals, like you were saying, whatever those were that you can't detox because of those. You can't find that out through NRT.
I do. I mean, I test to see if the body likes whole food folate or if they like the cruciferous vegetables when I put their hormone replacement therapy with them.
Because that's what I'm taking last time. I started with the cruciferous complete.
Yeah. So I always wonder, can I tell? No, I can't tell, but I can infer that there's probably some methylation issues or some hormone detoxification issues.
Interesting.
Yeah.
There's a different test, like you said, Dutch test.
Yeah, so this is our dried urine test for comprehensive hormone testing. And for postmenopausal women, it's easier because the hormones aren't really changing. So we can get hormone levels, and then we can also get how the body detoxifies those hormones, because we want to make sure they're detoxifying safely, especially if women are on hormone replacement therapy. And then what there is like also some nutrient inferences from the urine to make sure that our serotonin levels okay, or levels are okay. You know, whether or not we have the indican, which can see if we have gut dysbiosis. So it gives a lot of information. There's something called a cortisol awakening response. So we do salivary cortisol in certain times, you know, throughout the day. And it gives really great information. It's, you know, better than like just doing a serum test, because that's like one time and it doesn't give any of our detox
What do you do
information.
throughout the day with the saliva?
Yeah, so you spit in it, you give saliva and like package it like in the morning when you first wake up, like half an hour later in the day, right before bed. So, you know, it just gives us this, what is your cortisol too high, too low? Is it going on the curve that it is supposed to, like what's normal?
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't do it forever because I thought it would blow up the test. So.
I did feel like that.
Well, it gives a lot of really good information. So, yeah. Well, cool. Well, you guys are awesome. Thank you for showing up and for listening to my
Thank you for
talk
this
on winter
presentation.
blues. Well, you're very welcome.
There's
All
some
right.
really cool things happening.
And Eric and Linda, thank you for joining.
Oh, thank you very much for hosting it. Thanks, Rhonda.
Yeah, I'll see you super soon, okay?
Okay, have a great rest of your week.
All right, good night.
Bye. Good night.